They said the world wasn't built for us, that our dream should fit the frame, not break it. But these women never asked for a space, they made it for themselves. From dusty playgrounds to digital boardrooms, they carried bruises like badges and turned every silence into a strategy. They didn't just play a game or start a business. They forced a culture to evolve, an industry to reform, an economy to rise to the rhythm of their vision. When Deepti Sharma spun her way into world record books, when Shefali Verma swung wild and fearless, it wasn't just a victory, it was vindication. Years of near misses, heartbreak finals, long training days under the coach Amol Muzumdar, every loss became the muscle memory. And just like them, every woman founder who builds from zero, every immigrant who refused the invisibility, carries the same coded grit. From the gullies to Meerut to Silicon Valley's co-working glow, she builds, she bends, she becomes. Because passion isn't just personal, it's political, cultural, and catalytic. Welcome to Bootstrap Banter, my dear friends. I'm your host Pranali, and today we are going to celebrate the women who build beyond boundaries, who don't just follow their markets, they make them. And this is where our talks begin. We are not talking today just about the startups, but about the starters. And this episode is specifically focused on the women who just didn't wait for the permission, who built their empire one boundary at a time. We are celebrating how women turn pain into power and passion into purpose. From the cricket pitch to your passion project, this episode is your reminder. You can always rewrite your scorecard. Well, every founder has their own 2017, the heartbreak year. But every dreamer has their semi final moment where the world doubts you the most. That's when, my dear friends, is the history begin. So whether you're building from a kitchen table or pitching to your investors, remember, the pitch doesn't define you, but the swing does. Here to the women who play their own game, who lift others while they rise, and who prove again and again that when women win, the whole world rewrites its scoreboard. Because passion just doesn't fuel its dreams, it forges the revolution. Welcome to the Bootstrap Banter, and I'm your host Pranali. Today we are deep diving on the power play moments, building from the losses and creating the world record, the groundbreaking world record history. It's the inspiration that our particular episode is having today. If you identify yourself as a woman or as a minority or as a LGBTQ, I really don't want to call it as a gender biased episode. However, today is a day to celebrate. This is the week, this is the month to celebrate the power play that what women can bring on a table. So let's just, work around this power play and, let's just figure out what exactly we as a bootstrap banter, we as a passionpreneur women's can bring to the table, what we can do and what we should learn and how we should march our future journey in a very confident way. Looking at that power play, what really had, we have witnessed in the past, especially the 2017 final loss that had happened against England and 2022 semi-final exit that we had very with the very close chase down, in fact. And today, what we really saw that the Indian women cricket team had got it under the coach Amol Muzumdar. Definitely the sharper fitness, the strategy, the mindset, and this time we had witnessed the confident women, the Indian women going on the ground. They were so determined. Till the time we got qualified to the semi-finals, I think we must have lost the hopes. Yes, but that one particular match against the New Zealand turned us around and gave us the confidence that we never asked for. Rather, we didn't believe. Most of the world is not believing that. Well, going ahead and talking about the Deepti Sharma's world record, all-rounded performance, double centuries, 4, 5 wickets, signal not even revenge, but the rebirth of the Indian women cricket team. If I have to really look at those lessons and draw parallels from it, There was so much that, founders are going through similar moment who channel their rejections into the reinventions. There was so much to take in. And when I realized that, these are not just a couple of examples to witness, but there are many more actually, that can help us, coming out from that doubt and yet mastering the all rounder role. Indeed, the women's have the grit. They know how to play consistently, they know how to work systematically. And this is where I believe, as a solo founders, as a bootstrap banter women, if you're listening to this particular episode, you must go with the confidence to build and reshape your journey, whatever that you're doing today. So that those are the very tactics, or those are the very strategies that I am providing in today's Bootstrap Banter episode for all of you who have gone through rejections, for all of you who have not got the checks that you were looking forward from your investors, for all of you who fail to chase the customers or even convert the customers at the right age. Yet, we do have that $1 million wisdom put into the opportunities that I've lost, converting it to the right education to yourself or an experience to move forward and march with much more multifolded capacity. Here is what we really need to know: how you can reuse those missed opportunities to drive with the confidence and to even do multifolded leap. Well, look at this all-rounder style, the journey which Dipti Sharma just led to us. What is the secret behind it? Can you believe it? It's the same secret that we as a startup founders, the bootstrap banders, the passionpreneurs have to work with. It's not about just working more hours are gonna get us a success, but it's all about the intentionality and knowing when to pivot with your expertise. That matters the most. See, in the early days, all the women founders, often who are the CEOs, at the head of the product, at the customer service lead, a triple treat, even the sales and marketing, we have to do it well. But what will not take away from us, and that will take us far beyond the stage, is the founder's discipline. If I have to really give an example about the Dipti Sharma, she just doesn't just hit, she doesn't just bowl. She has highly refined strategy for both the places, As a founder, that does mean for us to time boxing every skill set that we do. Dedicate, either we want to dedicate our mornings to our deep creative work or the product or the vision, that's our batting, right? And dedicate our afternoons to execution and client relationships to the sales and marketing can be considered as a bowling. Well, so time boxing is a key skill that every woman is already mastering about. But where the gap exists in terms of the persistence is the moment we don't see the results, the moment we don't see that that wheel is spinning the most, that's where we self doubt ourselves and we drop our game. What happens if we turn around and say that the consistency or the effort over everything, mind over matter, and we continue with that same discipline to march the journey? We show up with the same grit again and again. That's the key to the consistency, will, get us surpassed. We just can't micromanage all the roles, whatever that we are performing during our daytime, during our evening time, battling with the family fronts and the business fronts or the work fronts. Whatever it is, we must learn to implement this simple system that automate the consistency, right? So sometimes it's the muscle memory that will surpass us further. So, all of us, my dear friends, we must automate our finances. We must template the communication and standard operating procedures or whatever that your business proposals are. So, we can dedicate our mental energy to the high level strategy of the roles that we are currently performing or at that particular time frame we are performing in. Like, if I have to give an example or, draw the same parallels of Sara Blakely, which is one of my favorite founder, by the way, from the one who designed the Spanx, the one who made the Spanx multi-billionaire company. She was the ultimate all-rounder when she actually invented the product, right from the manufacturing to write her own patent handling all the sales speeches, even to finding out the collab options, partnering with multiple channels, and pitching it again and again for the national TV. She actually systematically mastered each role, being very much resource for herself, pivoting her focus, sequentially mastering every beat that, scattered the outfit, even like, getting the Spanx design, whatever the Spanx that she had designed, getting it produced in the production. For that, also, she had to have a very big fight. But she proved it that she could invent some product in the lingerie business and yet surpass most outstanding sales that existed for far beyond the retail industry products, I would say. So, my dear friends, this is what we'll be driving more. And with each and every lesson I have taken from the Indian Women Cricket World Cup match, all the matches, in fact, and all the incidences that highlighted the Bootstrap Banter episode, I'm driving it from all that inspiration and trying to see, how as a Bootstrap Banter, how as a passion pioneer women founders, what we can draw further if we are at a point where we don't know whether we should pivot, if we are at a point where our confidences are shaken, then this is a listen episode for all of you. Well, let's just talk about the wild card entry that Shefali Verma got and what it really means to us as a bootstrappers. How we can, convert these wild card entries or the relaunch to ourselves, to our businesses, to our passion businesses, to our startups. How we should be doing that in the way that Shefali did it. If I had to, talk about that incident, well, everyone knows, like, Shefali Verma's story. Coming in as a wildcard replacement for the Pratika Rawal, she got injured. She had an ankle injury, and just before the semifinals, believe it or not, she was not even a 15 team squad member, but she got a call to replace her and got a chance to play. In that particular, the first match that she played at the semifinals, she barely scored 10, and it was not a great performance. In fact, she was bailed out prior because she was not consistent in her play, and it was just, not delivering the result that she should have been. So she went back, and, everybody knows now that whole story that she went back and played for her own domestic matches, but the domestic matches, the way she played, that made her shine and, gave her the wild card entry. So she was very consistent in whatever that she was, playing at. Although she went to her state cricket, there she proved very differently. 197 scorecard that she had that just gave her the wild card entry to this particular World Cup. And of course, the people who spotted talent in her were vouching for her and, gave her this wild card entry. But she had a big scorecard to opt for in. And when we are looking at her story, in fact, is giving me an immense confidence that we as a women could do anything. For us, the age is not even a barrier when we determine we could surpass many challenges. Barely she was 8 and she was refused an entry in the cricket training camp. And that's when she decided that, she would dress up as a boy. She, in fact, got enrolled herself on her brother's name. Of course, the father was a very supportive person in her life who asked her to, trim the hair, go with the boy kit and play with the boys, pretend as a boy. I just can't frame it right for that particular journey, what it really means. When you have to pretend as a boy, although you're a girl, and then get training, then you play with them, you try to gel with them, you act like one, and get the training just for the love of the sport, the passion that she had for the cricket. And she absolutely started outscoring the boys. She became even the tournament, one of the man of the match series when she was very young, and of course, that laid her further red carpet entries to many other gigs that she got into the Indian cricket team. But look at that grit that we as a women inherently we are carrying. I think we are born with that grit. Be it any of the redemptive arc that we need to shape from the failure, it's just not a stopping point for all of us. It's a very crucible that forges our next breakthroughs. So, this is what we have to really look at our losses and start reframing them. We must stop seeing the failures as our personal or start even seeing it as an expensive or the proprietary data, right? It is that very unique personal experience that get us to that aggressive and a confident style, which comes from the years of, overcoming all these obstacles that we're looking at. And the initial resistance is our fuel. Never dismiss that. A product may flop, it may be a failure, but maybe it's a market research study that we just possess and that no one has. Can we draw from that unique lesson? Can we go with that unique lesson and work on our confidence, saying that, yes, that's the shift I have. That is what the wild card confidence I will carry henceforth. My ultimate and eliminating this particular, the safety or not so perfection mode, making me aggressive, giving me an aggressive chance for the next Chef Ali shot. Well, that will only work if we have done our core groundwork, right? It is not something that it will just come just because we have got a failure. It does come from a lot of experiences. It does come from the grit and, you know, um, going fearless is what I would say, going fearless and working and attempting every opportunity that comes to you. May it be a simple, business opportunity that you think it's on your edge and you're about to convert it, going from that proposal to your client meetings, showing up with that same confidence can definitely surpass further. Even if you lose that proposal to something else, some other proposals in the businesses, or even if you lose the customer just by a bit and you are yet to discover the right reasons, you can still show up to the customer with whatever you have and turning the wheels around. That is where the MVP comeback can happen. Learning from our customers, learning from where exactly we are falling short. I mean, is it the gap that your product, your business need to solve? Or is it the gap that you don't want to address and your unique strengths are far different than that? And you need to focus on the right customer base. Well, that can also happen with this pivotal moments. And just be honest and transparent about these particular lessons that you're learning and lead with that. It is indeed an unshakable data that we possess. Going with that, I must remind to everyone the Oprah story. The Oprah Winfrey, when she was, going for that journalism, TV journalism, she was been rejected. And her rejection reason was as a journalist, she was too emotional. Can you believe it? That as a journalist, she's too emotional was the statement that somebody gave her and rejected her from the TV channel. And instead of, working out, being so strong, being that neutral face, and she had to win another TV show or go and pitch to different TV series, in fact, she decided not to work as a journalist and TV journalist or the news reporters that whoever were looking forward for that perfect frame to come in as a, someone who would deliver the news. In fact, from that Baltimore experience that turned her down being emotional, she decided to relaunch herself. She decided to work with the talk shows where her unique style being presentable, being emotional, being empathetic, which is very, very authentic and genuine to herself, gave her a far different age to host her own talk show, to even get her own production started, and the history that she has created, being the TV talk show host, compounding to the multi billionaire empire and starting many other movements with the power and the position that she gained to contribute back to the community, which was her innate interest. I think that's the power play we are looking at, focusing on our own unique strengths instead of turning them down, turning into the opportunity ways and finding the own markets which are aligned to that rather than just focusing on the weaknesses. I think that's another powerful strength. That is another interesting area where we should start focusing. If you think that you are a failure at particular point and if you know your weaknesses to the particular product or particular customers to acquire, Just look at what are your strengths, how you can work out those weaknesses, and which are the right customers where these weaknesses become the strength, where your products you need to reposition and get yourself that wild card relaunch. Let me know what is the right redemptive arc you are looking to embrace today in your business, in your startup, in your bootstrap banter, or any of the passionpreneur experiments that you're doing. I love to know those experiments. I love to know those experiences. And if there is something out there that, we must talk about it in our bootstrap banter, I would love to take you on the particular episode and, we can talk about how you really shifted the mindset, how you really reframe your losses, what all you converted further, and, how you got yourself repositioned. Let me know all your experiences at pranali at passionatepulse.com. That is my email ID to write back your story, and we'll love to know further about your stories. Before we dwell further and talk about many other parallels that are happening with this bootstrap banter episode, focusing on the women and this whole World Cup fever that I am in today, and in full mode and full swing of moving those balls and putting even certain Yorkers on the bootstrap banter episode. I like to tell you that on the Thursday, we are looking at 6th of November, evening 6 p.m. PST, and leading a wonderful session on how you can position yourself, how you can build the credibility in your professional space. Do join to that workshop. I must tell you that it is absolutely free. We are doing that with the B Connect body of BMM, which is focused solely for the business professionals, and I'm hosting this wonderful session on how to build your credibility. If you're someone, if you're a founder, if you are someone who is, looking to grow in your career or start your bootstrap banters, this is absolutely must attend session. It is the entry is absolutely free. However, the RSVP is mandatory as the seats were limited, although this is an online meet that we are witnessing. How to register? Go to passionatepulse.com homepage, and there you'll find the first session for the workshop and show up and learn certain tactics that I'm going to teach in that particular session. Well, while talking about the wildcard entries, I must tell you that there are many moments in our life as a passionpreneur, as a startup founders, or wherever you are at the career point. We have to fight for the seat at the table. You know, the way Shefali Verma got the wildcard entry, well, somebody had vouched for her, but the grit, the consistency, and the game that she had played in her domestic way at Haryana State was outstanding to get her that entry, right? But at the same time, if it would have happened that she would have got an invitation and then recalled it and given that opportunity to somebody else, as Barbara Corcoran, I'm sure everybody knows this big investor coming from Shark Tank, starting from season one. Well, before even the Shark Tank began, we must know that story that her seat was taken out, and she, in fact, demanded for her seat to come. I'll just tell you that the story that went behind the stage and how she really fought for the table. And it's the same way, my dear friends, all of us as a women founders at multiple times have to fight to earn the seat. Although we have proven enough with the stats, with the scorecards, and with the result metrics that are shining on our names, even though the opportunities can simply slip away, but it is our job, it is our responsibility to turn those opportunities back and even at a time ask the questions to the right people in a right fashion. You simply can't ask why I'm not there. In fact, you should go ahead and talk about why this is important for you, why this is important for them to consider. Well, I'll just tell you the Shark Tank's Barbara's story. Well, she's, after all, a master of leveraging the rejection, right from her boyfriend who had, decided to dump her. And then she said, thank you for it. And then went ahead and built another real estate empire in the field that she was in. When the Shark Tank actually was, first casting, Barbara was asked to join in and sign the contract. But after 4 or 5 days, she got a call and producer changed her mind and gave her the spot to some other woman. and reportedly saying that they wanted some busty, blonde, half of her age women just to get, some representation or some eye candy stuff. Well, at that particular moment, in fact, she was not put herself down email saying that, well, we went with someone younger, or you don't have enough tech experience, or we don't think your concept is scalable, or you're just not sexy stuff to be on the table. She decided to fight bold. Her response was a power speech in itself. She devastated, but definitely was fueled with the lifetime, whatever that she has done, proving that people wrong. She just didn't wallow that particular moment. She went and she sent an email that was a perfect example for all of us women founders to take further and show whatever that somebody is walking in with, or looking out to slam you. You are the one who are the power, and then got your obstacles to the triumphs. She wrote to the Mark. Mark Burnett was a producer, and even now, I believe. I understand you have considered someone else to dance instead of me. While I appreciate and being a backup, I'm much more accustomed to coming in first. Wow. That is something that, we should witness and we should even follow in our own life. Can we write that kind of cold email, which is really a bold talking about it, that you consider somebody else for XYZ reasons or whatever? However, I'm much more accustomed to coming in first. And then she cited her great career successes. Nothing, they all came on the heels of the rejection. It was purely on her own self merits, it was purely her own efforts that made it shaped. And that's where, she said, instead of just considering or giving somebody else a seat, why don't we compete for the seat? And that's where the mark got shocked. And that made her to compete with whoever selected for that particular seat. And no wonder that she came as an exhibit A in her pitch. And whatever that she executed on the particular day of a competition gave her a red carpet entry to the Shark Tank, and which never got reconsidered after that. And she proved that she is different as an investor, way she was shaping the founders and the way she was scaling the businesses. So I think this is a wonderful weapon, or the power that every women founder or every bootstrapper should have. If you are leveraging your own bootstrap cash and looking forward to march your journey, even if you have to acquire a single customer or it's a short opportunity, look at it in all the positive ways. If something is slipping away, can you go ahead and attempt to what had slipped away from you and ask right questions, show up with that confidence, and if at all the time comes to compete. And that's the strength we must all have as a wildcard mindset in our actions. Exhibit A in the pitches that we do, and the deterministic and the battle tested and the necessary person on the seat to deserve. We have to showcase sometimes, sometimes these opportunities are just not going to be the red carpet entries for us, but these are indeed the gatekeepers that tells us no. Do not accept their definition as your worth. Instead, use these rejections, perfect your pitches, high scares those fuels, and power pitch back, and demand the spot at the table. And that's our duty, that's our responsibility too. We must be willing to fight for the opportunities to compete. We must be willing to show our own worth if somebody is trying to overlook at them. And that's the wonderful lesson when I am looking at the Shefali Sharma's wildcard entry, the opportunity that she got, she converted as a golden egg opportunity. And what a score to witness in the final, the 87, which indeed took us surpass. Also, her younger version journey, if I have to look back and see that, we are born fighters. The women's are born fighters in the career trajectory, in the path that we grow on, where that fuel just collapsed. That shouldn't be the case. That's the worth. Sometimes we have to present it in a very elegant way. Well, the elegance is another beauty that we carry inherently. We have to just combine that whole together to make that power play dance at a time. but it's indeed the lesson as a founder, as a bootstrappers to carry forward. Let me know how this episode is coming out. And if you are a women founder, if you have a story in yourself, I would love to listen to those. Please write back to me at pranali at passionatepulse.com. I would love to know your story. If your story has a worth getting a seat on the podcast, I would love to accept it. And at the same time, we love to share those wisdom with our audience through Bootstrap Banter, Passionate Pulse podcast, and many other. Going forward with this particular victory, going forward and while celebrating this, the women who have earned the seats at many other places of in their life, the world records that they have beaten, there comes a huge emotional drama behind. Before this big win, there were multiple hidden preparations and the power of loss embedded in that particular success. And let's just process all of it. And let's see, as a bootstrapper, as a women startup founder, as whoever you are right now and struggling to get a seat, finding out that whole standard system is just breaking you down. How do you really do flip those opportunities, flip your products, and even cope up with those product flops, financial loss, and even a lot of iterations that are just not working out the way it should have been? What is that we should be focusing as a founder to succeed? What is that success mantra that we should be taking? Well, process over outcomes, definitely in. That's the milestone that we are looking at. The moment of loss is definitely a terrifying because it forces us, it confronts, it gaps. It's so much that just the outcome has just vanished type of a moment. But if we decide to realize those key moments, the losses in itself is a moment of intensity and the clarity. If you look at those losses with a very clear way, if you go ahead and start analyzing, as a founder, we must, conduct that cold, hard post mortem of any loss that we do. Was it in your control, first of all? Was it the market research or the execution for the product or the implementation? Was it in your control and you could have reshaped those steps, reaffirm those steps? Well, write down what are those lessons that you have to absolutely take in, or there were some outside factors which is not in your control but just happened because the environmental change happened, the technology stack change, the pandemic in the world occurred, or it could be a major competitor launch happened with the big scale, with the big capital who surpass the visibility. What is it that has happened which was not in your control? Well, don't blame everything for yourself for the latter because it's absolutely not in our hands, but optimizing the former, which is what is in our control. Well, you can't scale at a moment, whatever that you're launching. Absolutely fine. But can you do the local wins? Can you get those local wins within your control? Can you acquire those customers? Can you fulfill those customer orders in a way that nobody has done it so far? Well, is the pricing is an issue and you need to really be competitive enough to get those orders. What is it that you can correct? What is the course correction is suggesting? Be a very cold and a hard postmortem for your make for your product, for your business, yourself, and see what you can do. It's absolutely a must review session, and then that is what should fuel your next iterations. The losses can give you a definitive limit, but the boundaries of what we accept, what the market will accept further, can go far beyond. So use those limits to make your next attempting very tighter, more targeted, and more smarter. Can this be an ultimate lesson? Maybe no. There could be many more lessons emerging, many more course corrections that you'll have to go forward to. But can you be more resilient towards whatever that you do? Can you bounce back with the same deterministic way? And that's where your success lies. The faster you analyze, faster you iterate, faster you relaunch, the less power the loss has over your self perception. I think that's another success mantra that we should hone on to. Let me give you a simple example for the same funda that we discussed. The Whitney Wolf Herd. I don't know how many of you know her this name, but it's a household name, the Bumble founder. After the major and a highly public professional setback at a previous company, which was Tinder, she used the same pain points, but this time came up with much more better shape, the need for a safer, more equitable online space for the women. And as a founding principle for our next venture, Bumble, which was driven by women, by the way, it was something where the women's make the first move was a different shape that she had added. And her initial pain became the core feature for her next venture and the massive competitive advantage that it built a multi-billion-dollar platform. Basically, her loss is the one gave her the mission to succeed for the next. And what a groundbreaking platform that we are witnessing in the dating industry. It's absolutely a must learn journey as fueling from the losses that one bears. Let me know what you are driving from your losses. Have you experienced any of those kind of losses in your startup, in your business, in your bootstrap banter? And how did you overcome them? What did you work with your losses to make this super powerful? Do you have any exclusive experience that we can narrate in our further bootstrap banter journey? And especially you're a women founder, startup founder. I'm looking forward to vouch you and stay besides you with this your mission, and look forward to draw those experiences to tell our audience, this is a real story to witness and this has got a very, very powerful message. That is a success mindset that we are looking forward to draw from this bootstrap banters. So do write back to me at pranali at passionatepulse.com. Meanwhile, I must tell you that on 6th of November, Thursday, I am hosting a session, which is, of course, for every online attendee, it's free to attend, but registration is must. It is a session where you'll walk in with wonderful concepts, brainstorming, and the networking that is open to all after the session. So everybody would get a chance to know the attendees. Everybody would get a chance to network organically and find your next career opportunity with networking with different tips and structures that we're sharing. So do join me. How to register at passionatepulse.com homepage, and that's the first session that you will see, and you can register to yourself. I would love to see all of you, whoever is listening to this episode on Silicon Valley's radio or on any of the podcasting medium, wherever you're getting this podcast. If you're listening to this episode beyond 6th of November and you feel that that is a missed opportunity, for sure we'll come back with few more live sessions. Stay tuned to passionatepulse.com. That way, you know when these sessions are happening and you can avail yourself a session. What are some of the important tips that we must walk in? What are some of the muscle memories that we should create, and how we should turn our opportunities to multifolded billion-dollar businesses to create our empires that we want to, see and vision and, bring an impact to. Stay tuned to this episode for sure to learn more about as a women founder what all we should be doing, but at the same time, I love to get your feedback and want to know that, what you would like to know in the future Bootstrap Banter episode. What are some of the tips? What are some of the structural ways that you want to learn so that you can attempt your startup, you can attempt your products, you can attempt your business in a much more smarter way. And wherever you're struggling, you know how you can pivot on those opportunities. I'll be back with different techniques and absolutely implementation styles that will equip you to march your journey more confidently, more resiliently, and bring you the opportunities that you have missed. I won't promise these opportunities, but I can promise one thing, that you can grow whatever, wherever you are, and you can create your own empire. And the power and the fuel is what we absolutely fuel you through this Bootstrap Banter episode. That's the only mission that I have taken, and why we actually launched this Bootstrap Banter segment, having a Passionate Pulse podcast where the guests are coming, talking about their experiences. However, I decided to, host this solo episode so that I can talk to you with one on one and help you equip with those techniques that I'm learning, with which I'm growing. And those are the same fund as I'm sharing on this Bootstrap Banter episode with each one of you. Let me know how this episode is coming out. This is a special focus Women Special Express episode, I would say, fueling our women founders through this Bootstrap Banter, especially after witnessing a wonderful victory of Indian women cricket team, and getting those lot of records surpassed on this particular season. I must tell you that there are several other factors that absolutely got us this victory. There were like multiple systems that gave the nourishment, that gave the ecosystem for this Women World Cup to show up in a very different way than prior, where the Indian women cricket team was even struggling to get the right accommodation or even to get wonderful coaches or the systems that where there was a capital was flowing in or no was a question. And when these women started showing up, irrespective whether there is capital, whether there is nourishment, I think that changed the system altogether to an extent where we have witnessed that the BCCI, which was, not even looking at the Indian women Indian cricket team in a way that they should have since day one, they started paying more attention to it. They started flowing the capital to it. In fact, to an extent that just to lift this particular women cricket in India, BCC has moved to offer the free match tickets for the women, signaling that cultural inclusion, the shift that was very needed. There were many broadcast deals that happened, sponsorship visibilities that gained these outlets, the social media spikes making this women cricket as a mainstream have gone many, many long way. And that's what happens when you start showing up, although you're a women founder, you're a bootstrapper, and you think that the system is just not right in for you. But the way you show up consistently and the way you show up with your greed, the way you build your products and talk about it, voice it out, I think everything is a small movement in itself. And when somebody sparks that, and when people start gaining the confidence, the systems get created for you. And that's the great economy, my dear friends, we should be building. So the systems that we have to build, for ourselves, there is no system that is ultimately coming for us to just getting and frame yourself, but sometimes we have to create the systems that we want to look forward to, and that's when the other people join the movement, lifts you up. And there are those butterfly touches or the magical touches that happens only after somebody sees that you're ready to dive deep. Well, there is a big movement everybody is witness. It started from Rashmi Saujani, Girls Who Code. Everybody knows about it. Transforming the education pipelines for girls in STEM. She saw the gap and she created that simple movement, which is now a nationwide and even a worldwide movement where people are, joining those scouts and, getting themselves into the tech spheres. And it's a big, big movement. So somebody has to create the system. Somebody has to take that unconventional step or take that hard step to create these movements. And that's where the things follow. I think there are multiple examples to witness. Well, while talking about creating these systems, creating that nourishing environment, there is a lot goes beyond. People can only handshake with you when they see that spark, and somebody has to step up and then break those barriers and create the systems. Start with your own small pilots. If I look at my journey, when it started with the podcasting and now grown as a movement, and even to many more circles that we are developing under the Bootstrap Banter, and there are many more programs that are coming up, I feel that those are also the moments that have started with the small gaps that we had found, and then conventionally those gaps were not getting fulfilled in a way that it should have been for the modern eras to fit. And that's how these journeys actually began. And I must thank many other women prior to us who have started those movements in their own ventures. They attempted different experiments that have created the movements and that have also led the path forward. In fact, the wild example that I must talk about, the one movement that Madam C.J. Walker brought in. Born as Sarah Breedlove, born in the black family, she overcome severe economic hardships and her losses of her parents and a scalp ailment that caused her hair to fall out. In fact, all that losses, she decided to, take that personal loss, the hair loss, as the fuel to create the solution for herself and others. And that's how the cosmetic company that she opened, the black hair care industry and the creation of female cis network emerged. In fact, she decided not to opt in for the setup that the salespeople and the whatever the commission structure that was in place. She was not just creating the salespeople just to sell her product. In fact, she gone beyond the norms, and then she started building the highly successful network of these walker agents. Her saleswomen were called as walker agents. Across the United States, she built their training camps. She trained them in a very professional way. In fact, hosted the academies where her salespeople would learn more about the cosmetology's art, science, and then the sales techniques. So, in an area when few jobs were available to the black women, she single handedly created an economic path and independence and a wealth for the thousands of black women at that time. She, in fact, had awarded her sales agent 42% in the retail business revenue that they were working in. And the CPG business, which was a consumer goods focused business in the direct sales and pioneering a system of sales and training and wealth that, that kind of, predates this modern network marketing that we call in and we look at that. I think she was one of the pioneer in, creating that economic liberation for the communities that had not seen prior. Thinking about those movements, I think that is the type of a nourishment and the systems one can decide to create and, can get a huge benefit out of it. I mean, of course, it's not just a movement to flourish the communities, but it goes even beyond to, witness all of it. And sometimes those path breaking movements are needed to, fuel the entire generations of victories and, breaking those norms and looking at certain areas as just a minority or just as the favorable opportunities. Sometimes creating those equal grounds, one has to be on the unequal ground first, and then those kind of paths can be laid further. So, every founder's journey, as I said, like is our own World Cup. We can lose these matches, but we can never lose our momentum, and that's where we have to keep our head down, keep our vision up, and remembering that our doubles are about to come. The only thing that we have to do is work with that grit, work with that persistent, resilient approach, and applying all these smart techniques of reserving our seats, even demanding our seats at a time, and proving to every opportunity that we get in that we can convert it, we can create those golden egg opportunities for the generations to come further. So we can learn a lot from the athletes. This entrepreneur and the athlete mindset is the same. And collectively, we can keep the fire from burning out from whatever that we're doing. And that's the whole journey of Bootstrap Banter and the mission that we are fueling. We are bringing with more circles of Bootstrap Banter in person, online, where we'll be able to fuel all of your journeys, whether it's a woman or a man. Every bootstrapper is needed to get this handshake, and we will be equipping you with many more techniques to come further. So I'd love to get your feedback on this episode, how this particular Indian cricket team victory movement has turned out. India's women cricket team, they just laid out a different era for all the women, for all the girls to walk in these unconventional fields and prove their worth and surpass all the world records. Imagine if these Indian women cricket team would have got the ecosystem that they were looking forward to much prior, whether Mithali Raj was captain and that was a launch. I think we would have had many more world record for women's to host and broke by men. And but indeed today we are seeing those records that have come. To name few, I like to reiterate those records for the sake of my love of the cricket sport, and these women who have done wonders. The Shefali Verma, who scored the 87 runs in just 78 balls, which was a new record for the highest score by any Indian opener in a World Cup final, by the way. The Smriti Mandana, who scored 45 runs in 58 balls, which was the most runs by Indians in a single Women World Cup edition, 434 edition that we are looking, which is surpassing Mitali Raj 2017 record. Deepti Sharma, what should I say about her? I mean, it's like She created the groundbreaking history, played a crucial innings, and later took 5 wickets to earn Player of the Match, Player of the Season, and 58 runs. I think she was one of the closest to the Yuvraj Singh, who was all rounder declared at once. Had taken the wickets as well as batted well, and look at her records that she surpassed many other world records as well, and she's one of the all-rounder any male or female cricketer so far. Richa Ghosh, who scored 34 runs in 24 balls, joined DeAndre Doughtin for the most success in the single women's World Cup. Harpreet Kaur, what can I say after the victory that has happened to her? There is a wax museum in India where her wax statue is getting built, which will stand next to the Sachin and Virat Kohli in that same museum. I think what a salute that we are looking out to. Of course, the cash awards and the rewards that they're getting as a prize is immense. Almost 6.1 million USD BCCI is rewarding to all the players, supportive staff, and the honor that they have gained to this particular Indian women cricket team. The ICC has declared almost $4.48 million, almost 300 increase from the previous edition. And I think that is again something to witness. There are multi more leagues that are walking in, and the new era in Indian cricket team had just begun. Well, the public acclaims I must talk about is, the players are considered the new national heroes, and their success is seen as a powerful statement about women empowerment in the sport, indeed. They are expected to meet the Prime Minister and have a grand victory parade. And I must say that this is a salute from our show to all those women who have witnessed hardships prior, and today they are the ones who have been claimed as a national heroes. They are the ones who have opened many more chapters that could have died before even they started. And this is just the beginning of women empowerment era that we are witnessing in very rare fields like sports, where women were not given the crown that they needed, were not given the environment that they were needed, but they earned their seat at the table and have moved far beyond. These women have created the new heights for somebody to break in, and it's a question to ask to ourselves, are we creating the systems to nourish, to fuel the others, or are we creating a systematic systems which will not help somebody to blossom out? And that's the question we are looking at. The unequal seeds can compete at a time. It takes generations to do that. If this is the history, this is the victory moment you are celebrating, remember all those prior to us who have given so much for us to succeed at this. This is a marathon baton that is being passed to us, and we must respect this baton. We must take it with a very responsible heart, and we must march our journeys in a way that our future generations can lit up. There are so many other systems that are still playing out there, but with this grit, with the resilience, it's our responsibility, if you are in the particular bucket, to clear out those buckets, to create the paths to further to witness, to create the ecosystems if there are none, create this systematic approach and systems for someone. I feel it's every woman in the heart is shouting today for the systems which have surpassed them far beyond, for the systems who suppressed them, beyond the imagination, for the borders that were drawn that they have crossed and overcome today. And those are the borders, those are the victories, those are the celebrations we must do with a very responsible heart to march every step in our bootstrapping journey that somebody else will take in further. These shackles that have created by generations or the prior systems need to break, and creating that equal forte for everyone to play their own game. Be it a startup, be it a business, be it a sports, be it art, be it any field. This is what we are looking forward to witness. So, if you are a bootstrap banter, let me know what is your most responsible act that you have done so far. that have paved the way for someone, that have paved the communities, that have reshaped the journeys. And if you are someone who is shining out there, I would love to know your story. Do write us back to pranali at passionatepulse.com. I personally read all my emails, and if your story is worth telling, we will give you a platform. Let's deep dive further and stay tuned to Bootstrap Banter's future episode. Till then, stay resilient, stay with grit, stay with power, and bring your power play moments.